Aloha and welcome to Action Island. I am Gilles Gallant and I am joined by Kyle Murray, Nick Giffen, and Derek Carty. And why we're here today is we got to put a bow on week 17 because Monday Night Football, we've got the Los Angeles Rams facing the Atlanta Falcons. Rams are pretty big road favorites, 7-point favorites, totals around 48 and a half. So the four of us, we're going to build a four-leg same game parlay to sweat for Monday Night Football. So here's how it works. Four of us, we give our two favorite bets for tonight's game, then we take a vote on those picks. We'll decide which parlay leg is going to stay, which one goes by the end of the show. We'll have a four-leg same game parlay with one pick from each of us. But if you want to tail any of the bets that we're giving out today, we're going to be dropping quick slip links in the YouTube chat because that'll help you basically take you directly to the sports book where you can get the best lines and the best odds because some of these picks, the lines are going to move. This is a live show. This is how it goes. So, Kyle Murray, you are up first, and I like both of these props. What are we doing?
Yeah, I need some revenge after CMC's under slapped me in the face real hard last week. But going to Drake London for my first play, 6+ catches here. London returns the lineup last week after a lengthy absence with that knee injury, but played 70% of snaps, saw eight targets last week. So pretty encouraging involvement in the offense in a game back where, a lot of people talking about, why is he coming back? Why is he returning with the Falcons obviously out for the season or done for the season? But nonetheless, here, Drake London has made it a point to be, out in the open in the media saying he wants to play. You only get 17 games a year. He wants to play in as many as possible. So that's good and encouraging news for Drake London, who also gets a good matchup against the Rams, who since week 10 are allowing the second most receptions per game to opposing wide receivers. So great matchup, great game script as well with the Falcons 7.5-point underdogs. So the Falcons should be forced to throw a bit more. And we know London certainly can earn targets on a good efficient rate, averaging 0.32 targets per route run this season. So I like the over 5.5, 6+ catches for Drake London.
Yeah, I mean, I think the upside is there for Drake London, especially just a higher floor from that kind of wide receiver, right? Like just even last week, he got 8 targets, but some of that was just a little bit of a disconnect between him and Kirk Cousins. I think another week of practice that should be able to set that up. And again, like you said, a pretty decent matchup when they're in a trailing game script potentially here at home. So Drake London, 6+ catches is the first bet that Kyle Murray likes. Where are we going with the next one?
Yeah, going to a running back here, taking Blake Corum anytime touchdown. Plus 190 was the best number I could find on this, but plus 175, plus 180 is also a number that I like for this one. He's continued to see increased work over the past few weeks, double-digit carries in 3 straight games now for Blake Corum, who looks like he has a nice little burst of step to him in the Rams backfield. Obviously, subbing in for Kyron Williams at times, but 14 total red zone carries in the last 5 games. Obviously, last time we saw the Rams on a primetime slate, the Bet What Happens Live crew, Nick and Grant, gave out a Blake Corum
Yeah.
touchdown bet live, which was awesome for everyone who tuned into that. So hopefully we can get him pregame here in this one. And 28.5 implied team total for the Rams as well. So we should be expecting at least a few touchdowns for Blake Corum, who we've seen, be involved, or for the Rams. So we've seen Blake Corum be involved in the goal line, down by the 1 or 2 yard line. So would not be surprised to see Corum have a couple of efforts inside the 5, but also would not be surprised to see him break some runs here. He's been very effective in the explosive rate category, and also the Falcons are top 10 matchup for explosive plays over the last 5 weeks as well. So I like this anytime touchdown number for Blake Corum.
Yeah, Blake Corum touchdown. That was such a huge hit for Bet What Happens. I think that was like plus 800, right, Nick? I think around there. So,
Yeah.
so with that, the other thing too is, and we've been talking about this a little bit off air of the McVay, like what he does in games that might be termed as like almost like meaningless, and that he might start to rest some of those starters, like a Kyron Williams or even a Puka Nacua as the game goes on, depending on the game script. So again, Blake Corum could see much more work as a result, which is why we like the touchdown prop. But Nick, Derek, we got to take a vote here. Are we going to take Blake Corum for an anytime touchdown, or are we going to vote for Drake London to have 6 or more catches? So let's take a vote. All right, I like Blake Corum a lot, but it's not 8-1. It's around plus 175. I voted for Drake London. I really think he's going to have a big game here. So I voted London, Corum. Okay, we are on Drake London. Nick, all right, Derek, before we get to your pick, Nick, what was the reason for Corum over London?
I mean, Kyle's gonna say the Bet What Happens Live crew hit Blake Corum 8-1. How can I not vote for that, right? So, no, I mean, I like Blake Corum in this matchup a lot. The Atlanta Falcons on defense, they allow a decent chunk to man and gap scheme runs, and Corum runs that around 50%, which is it doesn't sound like a lot, but most offenses
Mhm.
skew towards zone concept runs. So the fact that it's 50-50 means Atlanta will be facing that a little bit more than normal. So I do like Blake Corum a lot here.
Well, and if you want to tail the Blake Corum pick, aside from the same game parlay, again, the quick slip link has been dropped in the YouTube chat, so you can just click that link. It'll take you directly to the sports book. But for the same game parlay, we are going to have Drake London to have 6 or more catches from Kyle Murray. All right, Derek Carty, you are up. And looking at props here, we got a couple quarterback props here. What are we doing?
Yeah, looking at both quarterbacks here, starting with Kirk Cousins, over 20 and a half completions, minus 125 at Bet Rivers is the best odds on the board, but available pretty much everywhere within a few points. The Blitz really just loves offense in this game. It loves passing. It projects 24 and a half completions for Cousins, so like four over the line, which is a crazy amount when you're talking about projections. But this game in general just projects really well. Like it's indoors, there's no wind. It's the second fastest paced game of the week. The Falcons especially play really fast. It should be a passing game script for them. This one just it projects really well.
Well, and Kirk Cousins again, like if we're in a trailing script, like there's probably going to be more completions, and I can't imagine he's going to be bombing it all the way down the field. Rams have been pretty good at defending the deep ball for the most part. So, Kirk Cousins, 21 or more completions, or over 20 and a half completions. You can shop around for that, but I believe the 20 and a half is still out there right now. So, Kirk Cousins over 20 and a half completions. What is the next one?
The next one I'm looking at is an alt over for Matthew Stafford. I like his normal over completions, but for my official pick, I'm going to go with over or with 25 plus completions at plus 175 is the best odds I could find on that at Bet365. The Blitz is projecting like 25 right on the nose, so not quite a 50-50 proposition when you consider the range of outcomes, but almost 50-50 that we're getting at plus 175. That's going to be something that shows some nice expected value. Again, this game is indoors. There's no wind. It's the second fastest paced game of the week. And I do think there's actually even a chance for this game to be a little bit more back and forth than the spread indicates. The Blitz is projecting the spread at 5.5 as opposed to 7 in the market, so it could be a little bit closer game potentially. We also have, you mentioned earlier the potential for the Rams resting guys late in the game. I think when it comes to Stafford, that's not going to be the case with him in the MVP conversation. I think he's playing this whole game, and I think it's even possible that they let him throw a little bit more, a little bit deeper into the game than they otherwise would. Sean McVay had some quotes earlier this week where he kind of said like, okay, we're going to do what's best for the team, but he was also kind of like, well, Stafford throwing the ball is what's best for the team, and we're going to let him do his thing. And like, so if you kind of read between the lines a little bit, I think we have a good shot at a lot of Stafford passing here.
I think you made a good point there too about the MVP candidacy portion of that, and just obviously being able to push for that. If they can't win the division, they could still potentially win something for their team, and I think MVP would be a good team award as well. This one is really tough. So guys, we got to take a vote here. Kyle, Nick, are we going to vote for Kirk Cousins to have 21 or more completions, which is showing a pretty good edge right now from the Blitz, or are we going to take Matthew Stafford to alt line at 25 plus completions? So let's take a vote. Yeah, Derek, you kind of swayed me with that last point. I'm going to take Stafford just by a smidge here. What do we Cousins, Kirk Cousins. Okay, I don't mind getting outvoted here, and that's fine. I think Kirk Cousins is definitely live here. I love the fact that we're getting such a big edge as well, considering where the Blitz is projecting at 24.4 completions, and we're getting 21 or better. So nice little edge spot there. So Kirk Cousins to have 21 or more completions. That is the second prop that is going to go with Drake London to have 6 or more receptions. Okay, now before we get into Nick's picks, if you want access to Action Pro projections, now is the perfect time to sign up for annual subscription to Action Pro, because Access includes exclusive player prop picks from Sean Kerner and all the members of the Action Analytics team. Anytime touchdown projections, you'll get access to our best spread money line and total bets, real ticket and money percentages. To sign up, visit actionnetwork.com/pro today. Use code Island20 at sign up. One more time, that's Island20 at sign up for $20 off. Okay. Nick, you are up, and two player props today. Not seeing any luck rankings aspect to this, unless I'm wrong. Is there anything luck wise for a side or a total in this game?
No, so let's go to those player props. We're going to start on the Rams side of the ball, and I'm going to go with Colby Parkinson under 3.5 receptions. I think the best line out there is -104 at DraftKings. If we look at, he plays somewhere between 60 and 85% of routes, or I should say of snaps, depending on, if Devontae Adams is healthy or not, and which other tight ends are healthy or not. But you get the idea. If we scale it to 100% of snaps, if you were to play every snap in a game, he would average 5.6 targets per game. So we're projecting him for 86% snaps, which is the exact amount he has played the last 2 weeks. So that would be 4.8 expected targets. But that's before we adjust for opponent. And Atlanta's maybe the worst possible opponent for him to face. They allow the second fewest targets to players lined up in line. And of the Rams tight ends, Colby Parkinson by far lines up the most in line as an inline tight end with 86.2% of his snaps lined up in line. Atlanta, they blitz the second most, so Parkinson will stay in sometimes to block because Atlanta's sending extra men. And when he does run routes, his target per route run against the blitz goes down as well. Atlanta also is a top 10 pressure rate over expectation team, and his target share drops the most of all the Rams tight ends when Stafford is pressured. Atlanta, high rate of zone plus single high safety. His target share goes down versus both of those compared to man and two high safety looks. And Atlanta forces deeper throws. And that's particularly troublesome for Parkinson because he has like a 3.5 average depth of target this year. So likely that means he's going to have longer targets, which will reduce his 78.6% completion rate down closer to 70%, which is more like his career-long completion rate. And so that's why I'm not going with under on his yards here, because some of his catches could be downfield, but it does reduce his catch rate. And with a target rate reduced and a catch rate reduced, I love this under.
I would just say the Rams tight end roulette is really difficult game to play. Just given the way that they're involved, you don't know if it's going to be Colby's week or if it's going to be Terrence Ferguson lighting it up. Tyler Higbee was scoring touchdowns before he got hurt. It's really difficult to pinpoint where the ball is going to go from a tight end standpoint. And Colby Parkinson has just been on such a tear that right now, it's really difficult to feel good about taking it over on any of his receiving props, just given the way that Stafford spreads the ball around. So Colby Parkinson, under 3.5 receptions. That is the first prop that Nick likes. Where are we going with the next one?
Yeah, we'll flip over to the other side of the ball. I'm pretty much on the same page here with Carty, which is why I voted for Cousins on over completions. I'm just going to go with Kirk Cousins over 32.5 passing attempts, which is, right. I think the best line there is -120 at BetMGM. I think it's 33.5 almost everywhere else. I'm totally fine with that as well. This year in his 6 starts, Cousins' median is 32, but as Carty mentioned, this is a tempo up spot. They should be trailing, as 7.5 point underdogs, or even 5.5 as Carty is projecting. I'm projecting closer to that 7.5. The median regulation passing attempts that the Rams have allowed this year versus opposing quarterbacks is 38, with 11 of the 15 opponents going over 33.5. And based off the Rams' final scoring margins this year, that would project around 36.8 pass attempts allowed. So, we've definitely got a lot of wiggle room here. I'm conservatively projecting Cousins for 34.5, but I think it's probably closer to that 36.8 number. And Atlanta themselves, as a team this year, they have the 4th highest rate of pass ratio increase when, going from trailing into the second half versus leading in the second half, right? So when they're leading in the second half, they're only a 38% pass rate, but when they're trailing in the second half, 68% pass rates. That 30% differential, like I said, is the 4th highest in the NFL among 28 teams with enough plays to, really feel confident, because teams like the Raiders, they suck and they never lead in the second half. But at least we have enough data on Atlanta, and they love passing when they are trailing.
Leave a Raiders like catching some shrapnel here
I
in the
know.
analysis while wearing a Commander's hat on a beach. Just an amazing tour de force from Nick here with Kirk Cousins over 32 and a half pass attempts. And his other bet, though, is Colby Parkinson under 3.5 receptions. So, Carty, Kyle, we got to take a vote here. Are we going to vote for Colby Parkinson under 3.5 receptions, or are we going to double down on Kirk Cousins and take over 32 and a half pass attempts? So, let's take a vote. I mean, I voted against the Cousins pick, so I'm going to stick with my with where I'm going here. I'm going to vote against Colby here. I Parkinson, Cousins. Oh, so Derek, did you vote for Cousins because of the alignment with the completion prop, or is it just maybe you're a little higher on Colby to get 4 catches? Oh, you're on mute, bud.
Sorry about that. I was on mute.
It's all good.
How could I not vote for the attempts when I put the completions out there myself? Like they're very similar. It projects really well. Love the attempts too. So that's just where I came from with that.
For sure, yeah, and that's kind of where I thought. I just wasn't sure if it was like maybe the blitz was projecting like 5 catches or something like that for Colby. I was like, oh no, did we overlook something here? Okay, so all right, so Colby Parkinson is going to be the third pick. So under 3.5 receptions, that's going to be with the Kirk Cousins completions prop, along with Drake London to have 6 or more catches. So I have 2 touchdown props I like for this game. First one I'm going to start with is Drake London. So that's probably why I voted for the 6+ reception. So he's got 6 touchdowns in 10 games this year. Saw 8 targets in his return to week 16. So that's one of the things I like about Drake London. He just has such a high floor in this offense, especially with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. I just fully expect their connection to reconnect here, especially last year when they were just elite connection, catching a lot of touchdowns. And one of the things about London too, just how much of a fixture he is in this offense. Even with missing 5 games, he still leads the Falcons in red zone targets and touchdowns, and facing the Rams, potentially trailing game script. So I just think we're going to see probably 10 or more targets for Drake London. If I can get a wide receiver at plus 170, plus 175 in that range, I'm going to take that, especially because when you look at the Rams secondary as well, they have struggled a little bit more against wide receiver ones. So just something to take note there. But on the Rams side, I wanted to do a long shot, considering this might be one of our last Action Island shows of both the regular season and playoffs. I want Tutu Atwell for an anytime touchdown. He's around plus 1,000. I've seen like a 12-1 out there, maybe at Hard Rock, but I'm good with anything at 9-1 or better. Look, I know he hasn't been running many routes, but I think he's going to be used a little bit more this week with Devontae Adams still out. Atlanta's given up 24 passing touchdowns, 18 of those to wide receivers. That latter stat is 28th in the NFL. And I'm confident in Sean McVay and this Rams offense to scheme up maybe a couple deep shots for Atwell because Nick brought this up. Like the Falcons, they play single high safety at the second highest rate in the NFL. That's prime for some deep targets. And Atwell, even though again he's been on IR for a lot of the season, when you look at his full totality this year, much better receiver metrics like yards per route run and targets per route run against single high coverages and zone defenses, which the Falcons play quite a bit. So that is the 2 touchdown props that I like here. So we're going to go with Drake London for an anytime touchdown or Tutu Atwell for an anytime touchdown. So boys, let's take a vote. All right, guys, which way we going? Drake London or Tutu Atwell? What do we got? London, Drake, Atwell. Oh, Kyle's voting for anarchy and chaos. I
Yeah.
like this. Okay, Kyle, why? So I want to ask this because you gave out the Drake London 6+ receptions, so I voted for that one. But why didn't you vote for the touchdown? Is it just because you think the Tutu Atwell one is just as too good value?
I mean, obviously, I like Drake London as well. I think, similar to last time we had a 4-digit touchdown score on the board with, I think it was Connor Hayward. Woke up feeling a little dangerous here. Might want to add some juice to the parlay again. But for what it's worth, I do think that when you have a rotation, a wide receiver rotation like the Rams, where there's a lot of volatility, we saw Xavier Smith get a ton of snaps. I think that there could be some reason to think that Tutu Atwell's maybe lost favor in the receiver core, but it is a good matchup for him here with the explosive plays that the Falcons do allow. So. I think there's just a good number here at 10-1 for Tutu, so I like that one as a long shot.
I kind of also wonder too, from a buyer's remorse standpoint, like if the Rams, because I mean they spent like I think they paid him like $10 million
Yeah.
fully guaranteed in the offseason for this year. So I kind of wonder if maybe with these last two games, maybe they want to try to get some of their money's worth,
Yeah.
at this point of the season. So all right, let's go over this parlay of what we got. So we got Drake London to have six or more catches. Kirk Cousins over on his completions. That is 21 and a half completions. Colby Parkinson under 3.5 receptions, and Drake London for an anytime touchdown. When you put all those together, I'm seeing plus 850 at DraftKings, plus 780 at the score if anyone uses that. And then, of course, at Bet365, you can get it at 10-1, but full disclosure, it is at 21 and a half completions. So actually, I made a mistake. We're at 20 and a half completions for the original parlay, but if you wanted it at 10-1 at Bet365, it is at 21 and a half for Kirk Cousins completions. So Nick, looking at this parlay here, I just wanted to also mention we're kind of the winning crew here for Action Island this year. We've won the most same game parlays this year of the group. So I wanted to ask you, Nick, what do you think of this parlay coming out around plus 850?
Yeah, honestly, I really like this one. Drake London, he lines up in the slot more than Darnell Mooney does, and the Rams, they give up the most targets per game to players lined up in the slot. So I think this could be, a Drake London bonanza. Obviously, he said he wanted to play. He doesn't get to play every game, especially with his injuries. So he wants to be out there in the field. So we got two legs that correlate great. Love the Cousins pick, of course, as somebody who was on his attempts over myself. And how can I not like my Parkinson under? And actually, Sean Kerner, of course, our director of predictive analytics here, he gave out Ellis under on tackles, Caden Ellis for the Atlanta Falcons under 7.5 tackles and assists. That correlates perfectly with the Colby Parkinson prop because he would be a candidate to get tackles as the inside linebacker on Parkinson receptions, but he also is used in pass rush a lot because, like I said, the Atlanta Falcons, they blitz a lot, which means Parkinson may have to stay in and block a little bit more as Caden Ellis is pass rushing. So very strong correlation with Sean's tackle prop there as well. If you, are on a site that'll even let you parlay a fifth leg.
Well, and I was a fifth leg. I don't even know. Does any of them even now even let you parlay tackle props at this point? I thought it was just Bet365 maybe, but I didn't know if FanDuel or DraftKings or any of those still allowed you to do it. But yeah, if you can get a fifth leg and you want to throw in the under on that tackle prop from Kerner, we could really make this parlay super spicy. But either way, for us, our crew, we're going to stick with the four leg again, plus 850 at DraftKings for the Monday Night Football same game parlay. So I want to thank you again for watching Action Island for Monday Night Football. Also, a reminder, join the Action Network Discord. Nick, you're going to be going live at halftime for Bet What Happens Live. That starts at the 2-minute warning of the first half. Now,
if Blake Corum's 8-1 we're betting him again.
I mean, my gosh, what a hit. Also, a good hit on Juwan Jennings as well last night. You got that at 3-1 at halftime. So also just wanted to make sure people know, so this is week 18. Going into week 18, rather, there is no Thursday night football or Monday night football. They flex a couple of games into Saturday. So this will likely be our final Action Island of the regular season. There's probably a good chance that we'll return for the Monday night football game during wild card weekend of the NFL playoffs. And we'll be back on the island probably a little bit more once we know those playoff matchups and they get decided. But you could just set notifications on the Action Network YouTube channel for when we plan to go live. We'll also promote it on X and Twitter. So on behalf of Nick Giffen, Kyle Murray, Derek Carty, I'm Gilles Gallant. Aloha. Hope you're having a great holiday and bon chance.